The Life Talk Show is about testimonies where you can listen to be inspired, encouraged, uplifted, and entertained. It's the life. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ashley Cotton, the host for the Life Talk Show. And today with me, I do have a guest, author April J. Fore. I'm saying that right, like your last name, Fore, correct?
Yes, that's right. Everybody pronounces it wrong, but thank you.
Awesome. And so you all already know, for the newcomers and for those that have been rocking with me from the very beginning, that this show is about testimony. We want to come on and share the good news of what Yeshua has done for us, and being in a relationship with him, just tearing down the strongholds, tearing down, the stereotypes of what Christianity is and how Christian people should be. And just knowing that this is a walk, this is about a relationship, and we're doing the very best that we can with what we have, coming into the full knowledge and understanding of who Christ is to us, and just simply being transparent and being open to invite others to explore and to know what this walk is all about. Not religious, not holier than thou, but what trials and tribulations that we all go through, because none of us is exempt from life. And this is based off of Revelation 12:11. We overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. If no one knows your story, then it's like, no one's going to know about the goodness of our Father. And so with that said, I just want to encourage and inspire people to really seek him out, to seek his face and seek what all of this is about. And so the mother and author, April Fore, is quite an incredible woman. She has endured loss and turned that test of faith into a tremendous testimony. In 2014, at a routine 9-week prenatal screening, April received devastating news. Her child had a cystic hygroma on its neck. This was an indicator that there was some chromosomal abnormalities. After taking a chirotype test and waiting a very long 2 weeks, it was determined that her daughter had Turner syndrome. A few weeks later, her daughter, Emma Grace, went to heaven to be with the Lord. A class assignment planted a seed in April to write the Adventures of Egg, Emma Grace Godwin's series. She found that writing the series was both cathartic and therapeutic when dealing with the loss of Emma Grace. It wasn't until her daughter was diagnosed with Turner syndrome that she had even heard of the rare condition. April knew she wanted to honor her daughter's memory, bring awareness to Turner syndrome, and empower the strong, resilient, and beautiful butterflies. Girls with Turner syndrome are called butterflies. Out there, the Adventures of Egg showcases the beauty of in being unique. When she's not writing Egg's newest adventure, she is a full-time mom to the very outgoing little Miss Tahila Simone. She's also a huge do-it-yourselfer. She once made a headboard for her sister. April lives by the motto, if you don't see it, create it. That rings true in many aspects of her life. She didn't find any children's book about Turner syndrome, so she created them. I tell you, that's one hardworking lady. April is the director of development at Chick-fil-A Seaboard Commons in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. As the director of development, she works closely with current and future leaders within her team to cultivate their leadership skills. She is a native of Conway, South Carolina, and a graduate of Fore Georgetown Technical College. Let's welcome April Fore to the talk show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And so Chandra Gore, she says, Steph Nicole, April Skinner, young April Fore. So we got some people watching with us this morning. So April, introduced us to who you are, because what I like to do is read people's bios in the very beginning so we can see, where you are now. Mm-hmm. But before you get to where you are, a lot of people see, what they think in their mind is the overnight success. They see the prosperity, the success, and it has not always been like that for many people. And so what I like to do, because there's a before, right? There is a beginning, an essence of you. So take us back to where it all began, and then also moving us toward to when you lost your daughter, because that's a lot.
Okay. Well, the bio, it says it all, but no, before Emma Grace and before that, that took place and it changed my life, I was just, a person very positive. I've always been a positive person, and I enjoyed life and enjoyed family. And I was a teacher, and I had a nanny service in Atlanta. And so children has always been a part of who I was and who I wanted to work with. I always had a love, and children has always been my passion. So I went to school at Georgetown Technical College, and majored in early childhood development. And then I knew that I wanted, to work with children in some capacity. So I did. And in 2014, I was running my nanny service. I had, a staff, and it was great. And then I received some exciting news that I was, pregnant. I was so excited because, working with other people's children, now it was my turn to have one that looked like me, a little girl or a little boy, but, my own child. And then when I received the news, it was heartbreaking, because at that time, we go through many emotions when we're dealing with something like that, a tragedy like that. And I just felt at that time it was like a joke was being played on me. I was like, wait, this is what I've, dedicated my life to, working with children, and now it's my turn and I don't get to have that. And I went through every emotion. I was excited when we first found out. And then I was, I became discouraged. I lost hope, and I was upset. Like, I had that emotion too. I was upset with God. Like, why would this happen? I know we're not supposed to question him, but at that time, in that moment, it was like, why is this happening?
And April, at that point, because you touched on something that I really want to explore just for a little bit, that you were angry at God, because we are human and we have those emotions. And so in your anger with the Lord, what did he say? Because I know in prayer, and I know just speaking out loud of the things that you're expressing to him, what did he say to you, if he said anything at all?
Well, I just found comfort in. So I had to terminate the pregnancy. I had to terminate Emma Grace because she was developing. Girls with Turner syndrome only have a 1% chance of making it, and they usually result in miscarriage. And I knew for my mental health that I wouldn't be able to bounce back. Even, I know me. And so I prayed about that, and he gave me that peace. So I was angry with him in the early stages of it. A peace came from like being with my family, being with my friends, and them comforting me. So he was using them as vessels to bring me that peace, and talking with him. And when I did make the decision, that's when I got the peace. And it was like, I could feel it. It just came over, and I knew that something was going to come out of this. I knew that he would not give me this precious gift of life, plant that seed just for that to be the end. So I always knew that something bigger was going to come out of this tragedy. I knew that he wasn't just going to do that to me, because, he's our father. So, as him being our father, your father is always there to protect you. And to take care of you. And I knew that he was. So at that time, just like, we get upset with our earthly fathers because, we don't see it. They see, down the road farther than we can.
Yeah.
So I knew that I was going to be okay. I knew that he gave me the peace about making that decision, which was very hard. And it was a peace. And I didn't know it at the time because it happened in 2014. I didn't write the series until 2019. It was in 2015, I believe, that's when we had the assignment at school. But the book didn't come, until 2019. So it wasn't immediately,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't immediately. But he was still pushing me, and I still knew, like, I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know, but I knew that there was going to be a purpose in that pain.
And what is Turner's syndrome?
So Turner syndrome is a chromosomal abnormality that only happens to girls. It's a condition that only happens to about 1 in 2,500 to 4,000 girls. It affects everything from their physical features to their sexual reproduction organs. They're short in stature. It's very, it's a spectrum condition. You have some girls that don't have any of those, characteristics or anything like that. And then you have that have mild cases, and then you have some that have extreme cases. They have heart issues. They have webbing of their neck, because the cystic hygroma, which is a indicator, is where the lymph nodes swell and the fluid in the lymph nodes doesn't come out. So then it swells, and then that ends up creating like a web neck, because the fluid will eventually, dissolve. But after that, the neck is webbed. They have low setting ears. They have, like I said, sometimes they have heart condition, heart valve issues, and things like that. So these girls, when they get here, they are warriors. If they are the blessed 1% that make it here, they will have life challenges, health challenges throughout their lives, but they can go on and live, great productive lives. They just have a little more challenges than than other girls.
Okay, and so April, we know that God makes all things work together for the good of those that love him and are called according to his purpose. So before you mentioned that you were a school teacher and now you're on a new path. So did what happened, and it's very tragic, but there was some, triumphant moments that came with it, because you've created, a series of children's books regarding Turner syndrome. And so it's like God has set you on the path that he has for you. So, I mean, what was that transition like? Because it's like you start off one way and you're thinking that, oh, this is it. This is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to be doing for life. And then it's like something happens in the midst of that gets you on what he wants, his will versus yours.
Well, so I moved back home. I moved back to South Carolina from Atlanta. So I finished my degree in education. I was still working with children, and but I think that got me on the path now writing the book was the excitement that we had for school. But I was at work one day and I was like, I wanted to still bring awareness to Turner syndrome. When so Emma Grace's birthday was in November 6th, and so, or November 8th. So that year, the same year that she went to heaven, on her birthday, we planned a walk. So I started being an advocate for Turner syndrome. No one knew what it was, not too many people. And I wanted to bring awareness. So it was like, I knew that I was going to be that advocate. I used to work with special needs kids. So I was always the advocate for those children with special needs. So I'm like, let's go out here. Let's talk about this. Let's raise awareness. Let's raise money. Let's get funds in these programs that will help these children and these parents. And so we raised about $2,500. We had people, all over the world come to our small town in Conway, and we had this walk for her. And that was the thing. I never wanted to stop talking about my daughter. I never wanted to stop talking about Turner syndrome, because I made a promise to Emma Grace that I was going to be the best mommy that she could have, even though she wasn't here, but I still wanted to better myself for her. And that's what started it. Changing my careers, changing my roles. I had a daughter, Talia, and we talk about Emma Grace. And when I had my daughter, Talia, I said, okay, I can't work with kids at work and come home and mom and work and do that. So I wanted to change that career, but I still wanted to work with people and develop them, because that's what you are when you're a teacher. You develop, these young minds. So I still wanted to work in some capacity of working with people, molding them, helping them get to their next level, helping them see their potential. So that's how I ended up with, working with Chick-fil-A. And I love that because that's what I do. And, but I knew that I always wanted to always talk about immigrants. I always wanted to get that awareness out there. And I'm thinking like, well, how can I do that? Because, we can post on Facebook and then it'll get a little bit, publicity and things like that. But I wanted it to continue. And then I wanted it to be a way that parents could speak with their children, their daughters, these girls that have it. When I was looking for books on Turner syndrome, there wasn't many books out there. There wasn't any books that I found that were talking about this subject. And I felt like I wanted to bring some normalcy to these
Yeah.
girls' lives. I wanted them to open a book to see them. Like, representation is very big. So when you don't see yourself out there, you could get discouraged and you could feel like, well, no one understands me. But, you can open up a book and there's a girl with TS and she's talking about her orthotics or her hearing aids. That's like, wow, I'm not the only one. There's a group of us. So I wanted to bring awareness. I wanted to never stop talking about immigrants, but also do it in a way that other people can find comfort. I had one, when the second book came out, a mother reached out to me and she said, my daughter, she has the Kohler. It's like the implant of the ear that's permanent. She said she has that. And it was great just to, see someone in the book that had, they're talking about hearing aids and things like that. So it's like at that moment, that time, I was like, wow, this is
Making
what
an
it was for.
impact. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so so will there ever be a cure? Like, is there research towards this, or is it just, we're just scratching the surface of Turner syndrome?
There's not going to be a cure. There's not, it's like any other syndrome, like Down syndrome. There's not a cure. They're making advances to detect it earlier, because they detected it when Emma Grace was, inside of me when she was, a fetus or whatever. They found it then. There's been girls, and I've talked to women that weren't diagnosed till they were 18. So yeah. And because they don't know what to look for. So, it's like, oh, well, she just developed late in puberty. Well, no, like there's different indicators. And so now they're making better strides on educating doctors about Turner syndrome, or, and the way to detect it early, because then they can get the help. Then they can, they'll understand why they're having these heart issues or things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and dealing now that what we're dealing with as far as COVID and everything, and there's like a lot of deaths that's happening, a lot of grieving. What was your process of grieving? How did you overcome? Like, I'm pretty sure they said that it comes in waves. Like, 1 minute you're okay, then the next minute you're, crying, upset. So for those who are grieving now, I remember like maybe 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I couldn't sleep. And I was up scrolling on Facebook, after, I'm praying and seeking or whatever. And I came across a post where a dear friend of mine, she was on the show. She was my actual first interview that I did March 30th of 2019 when I, re-debuted the show and everything. And come to find out, she was in ICU. I had no clue or anything. And on May 1st, she passed away. She transitioned. And it was like so sad. And it didn't hit me at that moment because I was in total shock, because me and her just spoke. Like, she was in my DMs and my direct message on Facebook. And she was like, hey, what can I do to come on your show? And I'm like, well, you already been on the show. Whatever you want to, just come on if you want to come back. And then after that, I didn't hear anything. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, she got her thing on. She's busy. She's posting. She's doing things. And then to see that, what do you say to those who have lost? And even to, people going through the grieving process, like, can you speak to that? Like, what was the very thing that you overcame? Because I know you said you had your support system, your friends and your family that God used and ushered in peace. But what would you say to those people?
It was just praying a lot and just telling him, like, just, make me aware of that. This is going to be okay. So it was like I just put myself into sharing about Emma Grace and talking about her. It helped me. I know some people, they don't want to talk about their loss, they can't, but it just helped me talk about her with my mom and my family and my sister, because it made it easy for, I feel like sometimes if you don't talk about it, when someone does bring the person up that you lost, it's like a shock and then it hits you all over again. But if you keep them constantly in front of you in their memory a lot, it's like they're still with you. So I just always talked about her, and never wanted to stop. When I mentioned I have children, I always mention Emma Grace, but it just always just the constant talking about her. And then, but there was levels of it. There was levels of
Mm-hmm.
the grieving process, because it's like you lost that child, but then you also lost all the hopes and dreams of when you first find out that you're pregnant. When you're excited. My mom was excited that she was going to have a grandchild. So, it was, you have that excitement, and then it's like, not only did you, like I said, you lost that person, but you lost all those hopes and dreams. And then, I always, when it's her birthday, I think about her. I think, oh wow, she would have been 4, she would have been doing this, or she would have liked to do that, or I think she would have been, doing this. And but for me, I get to have those moments in my books. So I get
Mm-hmm.
to write the experiences that I think she would have enjoyed. So it's like I get to have that moment with her in some way. My daughter Talia, we know, she knows that she had a big sister, so she talks about her. And we had the book signing in February, and she's like, I want to wear my hair like egg. So we did her 2 puff balls and things, and it was so touching, because it's like, when you're a little sister, you want to look like big sister, you want to emulate big
Yeah.
sister. So it's like she still gets to have that moment, she
Mm-hmm.
still gets to have that. And it was just like, wow, like she's not here, but she's still leaving an impact on her sister. And in the book, she's brave and she's strong and she's smart, and those are things that um Talia says that she is, because she can look up to, kids, they'll watch these shows and they look up to these stars. Well, she can look up to her sister that's in a book, who's, coming, overcoming certain, adversities and things. So it is amazing. And that's how I was able to get through the grieving process, just creating those memories that I think we would have had in a book.
And April, one thing that I want to say that's coming up is that, when you found out that you were pregnant with Talia,
Mm-hmm.
was there a moment where it was like, okay, I'm pregnant again, and we know what happened with
Emma
God,
Grace.
yes,
Okay.
Emma Grace,
Mhm.
yes, thank you, with Emma Grace. Was there ever like a doubt of fear, like a little bit, to say, okay, what if this happens again? Or was it like, no, everything is okay, we're going to do this thing by faith, and it's not going to be like it was the last time?
Oh no, absolutely. I was terrified the whole time. And I can only speak for myself, but other mothers that have lost a child, or, I'm sure that they might feel this way, but it was very terrifying. And then to find out that I was having a girl, because Turner syndrome only happens to girls. So when I found out it was a girl, I was just like, okay. And I did all the testing and she was fine, but it still wasn't that comforting. It was great to know that she was going to be okay, but it was like I just wanted to get her here. Like if I could just get her here, because I felt
Mm-hmm.
like, my body failed me before. That's how I felt. Like it was something that I did, which I know it wasn't, but it was like my body failed me before, and I didn't get to have the baby. I didn't get to have Emma Grace. So the whole time it was like you want to get excited about the pregnancy, and you want to do all those things, and you're planning and things like that, but then a little part of you in the back of your mind is just like, I don't know, will this happen? So um there was times that I would talk to my mom. We were, getting the room ready, or we were shopping, because of course I was just going crazy, but my mom was very reserved in that. And that was her way. That was everyone, my family members that were with me when I was going through this, they all dealt with it in their different ways when we were having Talia. So my mom, towards the end, she started buying a lot of stuff, but in the beginning, she was
Mm-hmm.
just like, well, no, let's just wait. Her thing was like, let's just wait and see. Like everyone, because it was such a loss for the whole family. So at that time, it wasn't, I think when you lose a child in the beginning, it kind of strips the next pregnancy of all of the joy, like the complete full joy.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
so nervous that something is going to go wrong. Or, so I was on pins and needles. And when she got here, I was so excited. I was like, she's here.
And April, did the Lord ever reassure you to say, it's different this time around? It's not going to be the same. It's okay.
Well,
I'm with you.
yeah, and it was because so it was like I was still having those moments, but it was after the test. And she had strong heartbeat. She was after I took all the screenings, and I was like, okay, I can breathe. So that gave me comfort knowing, and then
Mm-hmm.
I also had comfort in knowing that it usually doesn't happen again. Like it's 1 in every 2,500, 4,000 children
Mm-hmm.
or girls. So I knew that okay, it might not, but I was just like okay, and I did get that comfort, just myself, because I couldn't get it from my mom because she was still, dealing with her feelings and things like that. But I was like, okay, I think she's gonna be okay. Like she's gonna be okay. And every time
Mm-hmm.
we got to this week, I was like, okay, we're good, And then
Mm-hmm.
like when I passed the weeks that, when I passed 16 weeks, I was happy because that's when I lost, Emma Grace. But each week was like, okay. And then, towards the end, it was like, yay, let's get her out because I'm tired of it. Okay, we're good now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's wrap it up. But, but yeah, so.
That is wonderful. And where can people get your books? Like, where can they find you? Where can they, purchase your books?
Okay, so we are on Amazon. If you look up April LJ Fore, you will find them. Or you can look up the Egg Adventures. But if you type in my name, then you will find it on Amazon. They'll pop up. It's 2 books. They'll pop up. And we are on Instagram at the Egg Stories. And we're on Facebook, The Adventures of EGG. And then our website, www.theeggstories.com, and you'll be able to find our books. And soon they will be able to purchase a doll. So we have developed a doll, and she's coming out soon so they can read. She's going to be like the little reading buddy for the book. And I
Uh-huh.
think that's the coolest thing to have. Because I didn't, when I started writing the series, I was like, okay, I just want to write the books. But then I'm like, now I wanted to be more intentional with the new books, with the new releases. And so I was like, hey, let's have a doll. So the doll is coming. I'm very excited about that. And I decided, like I said, I wanted to be more intentional with the new books. So every February there'll be a new book to the series because February is Turner Syndrome Awareness Month. So yes.
Like
So
in April, this is the first time I'm ever hearing about Turner syndrome.
yeah.
So when I was reading your bio, I said, well, let me Google it. Let me just see, And so
Mhm.
I had no clue that, February is Turner syndrome month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? Also, have you ever thought about creating like maybe a cartoon or maybe something to the effect where I can't think of the couple, but they did something regarding black hair with the little girl, and they
Mm-hmm,
won an
mm-hmm.
Oscar. Have you
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
thought about doing something
Oh,
like that?
girl, yes, because my daughter loves YouTube. And I'm like, you're looking at all this stuff. We need to get your sister up there. So I have. I started like, I wrote out my goals. Because I'm big on you have to write it down. You have to see
Mm-hmm.
it. So I wrote down my goals. So yes, a cartoon, that is one of the things that is on the goal list. And hopefully soon I'll be checking that off. But that takes a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm just finding the right people to facilitate that. But yes, that is in the works. The doll is just so much that I want to do with the Egg series, and I want to do with Egg, and because like I said, I always want to spread that awareness, and and get her message out there. So yes, we are not going to just stop at books and adult. Like we're going forward. Yeah.
That's right, full throttle. Is there anything that the Lord's placing on your heart that you want to say to parents, to mothers, to whomever that have they're in a hard place? You know, a lot of people are going through
Mhm.
and they're in a really difficult place of, you know, at a crossroads. What do I do? How do I move forward? How can I overcome this? This too shall pass, but when? And
Mhm.
so what would you say to them?
I say find your tribe, find your people that will support you on the good days and the ugly days. Like the days that you don't want to get out of bed, they're going to be there. They're going to hold you. They're going to rock you. That's why I moved back home, because I needed that support system. I needed to have my mom there. But I say find your people and then find the purpose. Like go to God and have that conversation with Him and like, okay, this happened, but what do you want me to get out of this? Where do you want me to navigate from? Like you have to go to him for that guidance. Because things like this, only God will get you through. You can have your mother, you can have your family, and you can have your sisters, and that's great. And they are definitely a huge part of the grieving and the transformation and the healing process. But that complete comfort in knowing comes from God. So you have to, even if, when I talk to God, I talk to him like I'm talking to a friend, like I'm talking to my parents, like I'm like, hey, what's going on? So
Mm-hmm.
talk to him and ask those questions and tell him like, I need you to come here and tell me. You have to, so you can have that conversation with him. Like, I don't know what's going on. You have all the answers, and I need you to open it up to me. And journaling helped a lot. So my
Mm-hmm.
journaling was just writing the series. Like I just started. I wrote it, I think, in like a week or 2 weeks or so, if that. Like I was like, okay, and it just came and how I wanted the book and things like that. But it was talking to him and writing down what I wanted the next step to be. And it was how I wanted to grow from this situation. I knew that I made a promise to Emma Grace that I wanted to be a better mother. And that was the thing that kept me going. It was like, okay, this happened, but I want to be a better person for when I do have more children, or just you looking down on me. I want you to be proud of me. So it was like I changed a whole lot in my life. I became a doer, like a finisher. Like, I finished a lot of things and I accomplished a lot of goals because of her. Because I'm like, this girl is looking down on me and I want to make her proud. So that was set those goals that you want for your life and use this as a springboard to your next level.
Amen. I hope people receive that, because I absolutely receive that as well, April. And April, are those the books that's behind you? Can you show them?
Yes,
Yeah, show your book. Like, let us see it.
yes, these are my babies. So this is the first book. The first book is Egg Gets a New Friend. So in each book, she's gonna be on a
Mm-hmm.
different adventure. So the first book, she was getting a friend, and she learns about friendship. And that's this book. You learn a lot about Turner syndrome. You learn a lot about just what the girls go through and things like that. So it's like an introduction to Emma Grace and an introduction to her life and the butterflies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second book is Ed Gets New Ears. So in this book, like I said, a lot of girls that have Turner syndrome, they have, hearing aids, they have a lot of issues with their hearing. So she gets hearing aids in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that. I love that she gets her hearing aids, and she, like, my father's in the book. Because I'm like, if I'm gonna write a book, my family's gonna be in there too. So
Mm-hmm.
my dad's in the book, and he talks about his hearing aids, and so it's like it's a cute little book. So these are the first two books, and it's going to be a series of five. Right now, we have five in the series. Um,
Okay.
it'll probably grow. When ideas come, when I write the books, I always start with the title. So I have 5 titles already. So 3 more have to come out. But as time goes on and time progresses, I'm sure there'll be more. Because like I said, I don't want it to stop. I want this to grow. God gave me this, and I keep going to him. And like you said, like the ideas are coming. So I'm like, I feel like if he gives it to you, he's going to help you see it through.
Because I'm thinking like, Emma Grace, God's when, hits puberty or, teenage, adolescence and, going off to college or whatever. Like the possibilities are endless with what you can do with it. So I greatly appreciate it. But before I let you go, I'm going to hit you with the hot track, which is my fire rapid questions.
Okay.
And you're fun, light questions, nothing to put you on blast or anything like that. Okay. So the first question is, what is your favorite verse in the Bible?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Number 2, how do you get into the presence of the Lord?
I just meditate. I turn on my music. Like when I'm driving to work, like I have to set them up. Like I know I work at Chick-fil-A and they say that's God's chicken, but sometimes God's people are not in that drive-through all the time. So I have to set my mind right. I say I got to get in that space. And then I always pray on the way to work. I always pray because that sets me up for the day. I'm like, we're going to have a great day. Lord, just, cover me, cover my team members, and let's just have a great day. But always listen to my music and getting that and zoning out. Yeah.
Number 3, what do you think heaven will be like?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to feel like home. I think it's going to feel like home. I think I'm going to see my family members. I think I'm going to see Emma Grace. I think it's going to be it's like I said, I think it's going to feel like home, like a hub. Like you're just going to get there and you're going to be like, oh, it was worth it. Like all of this, it was worth this. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? There's this woman by the name of Kat Carr, Katkerr, and she's a white lady that wears pink hair because God told her to change her hair to pink.
Okay.
And she had her kingdom assignment is having visitations of heaven. Like he'll just, pull her up or however she goes through the portal to get there. But one of the things that she says, and when she receives messages or whatever she's receiving from there, she comes down here and God will direct her to go to people who have lost a child, people who have lost and didn't understand why or whatever. And so one of the things that she mentioned in her book, it's called Revelations of Heaven 1 and 2. She did 2 books. And she said that there's an actual portal that people who have passed away, they can look at every event. They can look at birthdays, anniversaries, wedding dates, people, children being birthed and everything. And they actually look and they're part of it, like involved in it, and they cheer you on, like they, speak things over you and pray things over you, and they're right there in those moments sharing that with you. So when you were talking about it and I asked that question, I just thought about Emma Grace, that she's right there with you, cheering you on and looking at every book that you create, and so I just think that's pretty cool. Number 4, who would you like to meet in heaven? It can be from the Old Testament, New Testament. I'm pretty sure, of course, without saying Emma Grace. Yeah. So who would you like to meet?
Who would I like to meet? I don't know. I mean, I think now I just wrote a post. Today is my grandmother's birthday. So I would want to see her again. There was, I just wrote today that she's not in the Old or New Testament, but she's who I would want to see right now. There's been so many things that we have such a great relationship, and I would always call her and everything about every exciting thing happening in my life. I was always calling my grandmother, and just the other day I was like, oh, I need to call grandma, and then she's been gone since. It's probably 2012 maybe, but it was like in that moment I just like, oh, I want to call her, and then I had that like, she's not here, but I just want to see both of my grandmothers. Like those ladies, they don't know, they left an impact on us so much, so I would want to see both of my grandmothers. I miss them a lot.
Number 5, given the opportunity where you're in a quiet, intimate setting and God manifests himself to you face to face, what would you say to him? What would that conversation be like?
Ooh, probably a lot of crying in the beginning and just like a lot of thankfulness, like just thanking him. I think that would probably be the first thing I'd say was just thank you, or I don't even know. But I think it would be I don't know what I would say. I don't know what the conversation would be like. Well, I don't know. I probably would ask him a lot of questions, just the questions that I had about just certain things that's happening, taking place in our world today. Just asking those questions and trying to find that peace, because it's a lot that's going on in our world and a lot of injustice. And so I would kind of question that, like, are we
Yeah.
when are we gonna get our due?
Overcome, right?
Mhm.
When are
Yeah.
we going to overcome and when are we going to do our just due?
Yeah.
And the bonus question is, through it all, like nobody knows the way God knows.
Mhm.
And through all the things that have occurred in your life, is it worth having a relationship with him? Because I think that many people are at a crossroads where they're angry at him and they think that
Mhm.
everything is his fault
Mhm.
without giving acknowledgement to, Satan roaming around to see who he can devour. And he comes
Mhm.
to steal, kill, and destroy. But
Mhm.
everything is always looked upon God. And so is it worth having a relationship with him, even through the trials, the tribulations, things that's unanswered, things that you don't know that's coming, that's in the near future, that he doesn't give it all to you at once. But is it worth being in a relationship with him? Any regrets?
Absolutely worth it. Oh my goodness. Like, if I didn't have, even if you're upset with him, or you go through things, there is no other relationship, no other person, no other being, no other person that I could imagine just worshiping. Like, no matter what, he is always there. Through the toughest times, there will always be a reason, and it
Mm-hmm.
will be greater. Like, I mean, all the things I just think about my life, like all the things that I've been through has led up to this moment. And I'm so thankful and so grateful. And I wouldn't change, because I feel like when you go through something, it makes you appreciate it. And he just, he gives us that will, he gives us the choice, the will to make our own decisions. He will guide us. He has given us the instruction of how to do this thing called life.
Mm-hmm.
Stray from the instruction, when we stray from what he says, that's when we do encounter these trials and tribulations a lot more. Now he's always going to give us those, so we'll always know how to handle ourselves, and to know, like, he is God, and that's where our power, our source, our love, everything comes from him. But having having the relationship with him, it makes everything better. Like, like, okay, it's rough now, but it will be okay. Eventually, I will overcome this. I will get through this. So that's when you find that peace. That's where I find that peace. Like, like, whoo, okay, yesterday was crazy, but I know today is going to be better. Or, okay, well, this week was crazy, but next week is going to be better. But it's always, I know that it's going to be better. It will
Mm-hmm.
get better. It can get better, because he will allow it to get better. Yeah, and then and being thankful. You have to be thankful in all of it. You just can't thank him for the good. You have to thank him for those rough, tough nights. While you're going through it, you still have to have that thankful heart. And I think it is kind of hard. Like, okay, how can you be thankful? Your car is broke down, and this is happening, and this is happening. But then I'm like, hey, it could be worse. It could always be worse. But just finding that positive look on it, and just knowing, okay, he got me. And you'd be looking like, all right, now, Jesus, come on through. But
That's
just
right.
that he will have you. So I do not regret being a follower of Christ.
Amen. And so I want to thank my guest, April. I really want you all to support her and her books. And it doesn't matter whether you know someone or a child or a daughter that may have Turner syndrome, but there's a lot of special needs kids. I have a niece, and a nephew who are autistic.
Okay.
And, I know my sister, I know what she goes through. I've seen it up close and personal. And one of the biggest things is that, there's so much love. Like there are people out here who actually do care and, who want to do right by the special needs community. And, it may not be exactly what yours is, and it may not happen exactly the way, but just know that there's encouragement out here. Just know that there's people who have gone through and will continue to go through, but you can listen to their testimony, listen to their story to know that you're not the only one. You're not by yourself. And that's the trick of the enemy, to try to get you isolated, to say, oh, you're the only one that's going through this. Oh, it must be your fault, that this has happened, because he's the accuser of the brethren. But I always want to give hope. I always want to give encouragement. I always want to shed a light of what this relationship is like with the Father, and like April mentioned, there are trials and tribulations that you go through with him, but it doesn't last for long. And tests and trials come to make you strong, to strengthen your spirit, so God can demonstrate the miracle signs and wonders in your life, so you can be a testament. Your story will make room for you. Your gift will make room for you. You don't know who you're ministering to. You don't know who you're touching. Keep going the course, because there's different seasons that come, as we know, like the physical seasons, there's spiritual seasons. And then also there's another season that I learned from this woman that I watch on YouTube, Yvonne. And she talks about that there's a due season. So if you keep going the course, there is a due season of a harvest, because tough times don't last long. And so I just want to thank you all for joining me, April. I want to thank you guys for watching this, sharing it, subscribing to the YouTube, Facebook, or whatever, however you watch it. And I just want to say, God bless you all. Stay encouraged, be safe, and just really seek the Father in what this relationship is like, and receive your inheritance that he has for you. God bless you all. Take care. I will see you guys Saturday with a new guest.
Thank you.